the first video back after the new year, you decided to talk about parents and boundaries.
Oh, yes.
Was there a particular reason you wanted to start with that?
Um, you know, I didn't plan, I wasn't thinking like, okay, new year, we need to talk about parents and boundaries. It was actually just that this morning, a friend of mine wrote me a message and she said, look, she's home for the holidays right now. And she said, look, my parents are driving me completely crazy. My parents are on my ass specifically about relationships because she's single and, she has these Middle Eastern parents and they're saying to her all the time, like, you're going to die alone. And like just these awful things, like this fear mongering, to kind of motivate her or propel her to get herself into a relationship, which of course that never works. And then I was thinking about how many years I've had of dealing with my own parents motivating me, lighting a fire under my ass to like go do something. And, it really doesn't work. And like the message that I want to communicate is don't be mad at your parents for the fact that they're worried about you, but you got to keep distance. Like you have to set boundaries. You have to decide for yourself that there are certain behaviors that you're not going to tolerate even from your own parents.
Mm-hmm. How did, I assume that you've tried all the steps that you suggested?
Oh, absolutely.
How did each one go?
Step one, setting boundaries never used to work. I think as I've gotten older, my parents have seen that, I'm actually like a grown man and they listen now a little bit more if I tell them calmly, I'm not okay with talking about that to you guys. I mean, they press me a little bit on it, but it used to be that they would be like, that's ridiculous. Like, basically you're not entitled to that boundary, which is how a lot of people's parents are. Step two, I talked a little bit about in the video. I accept some of my parents' conventional wisdom now. I do think that some of what they say, is valuable. So I listen to it. Step three has been the biggest one for me, which is the things that they have to say that I don't think are valuable. I literally don't listen at all. And like, I'm sorry, mom and dad, if you're watching this, but like when they're talking to me about like what I should do with my life or my career or like making money and all that stuff, I'm just not even listening. I'm just like, in my head, I'm just thinking about like a Led Zeppelin song or something while they're like yapping away. And then step four is what I was saying before of creating distance, like creating emotional distance and also creating physical distance. Don't spend as much time with them if that's something that drives you crazy. Move out of their house if you have to. Like, whatever you can do to create a little bit of a barrier. And it's not an angry barrier. It's not a rift in your relationship.
Right. If anything, it's beneficial for all the parties involved.
Yeah.
Because you're not at each other's throats all the time.
Exactly. And they might not understand it.
Right.
But that's the way it has to be.
Yeah.
You can't, this is, such a problem that so many millennials have, again, especially the children of immigrants. You cannot live your life on your parents' terms. And like, it sounds obvious when we say that, but we're raised from such a young age to be living our life on our parents' terms, according to their prescriptions and their rules and their wisdom. And it's like, how can you ever become your own person,
Right. Yeah.
So it wasn't particularly like inspired by 2019. I mean, we filmed videos on other subjects today too, but I just thought that, that's an important subject that has a lot of relevance to my own life.
Sure. And now that you've done all these 4 steps, do you have a solid relationship with them now? Is it better than in the past?
It's way better than it was in the past.
Yeah.
Partially that's because when I was a teenager, I was like kind of an asshole, like I caused trouble. But it's way better now that I've gotten older and I've learned myself. I've learned what I will and will not tolerate. I've set those boundaries. I've created a little bit of distance. But it's still a challenge, man. As I said, my parents are highly achieving people who are very anxious about how I'm going to turn out. And I'm the black sheep in the family. You know, I'm the person who did not follow the traditional path ever. So it's still a challenge for them to accept that I'm never going to listen to what they have to say. You know, it's a hard pill for them to swallow.